Hi Bobcats, this is Miss Lee, and today's video lesson is on box plots, aka box and whisker plots. This is actually the first of two videos on an introduction to box plots. Today we're going to focus on the different parts of the box plot, the different data components of the box plot. There's 5 pieces of data that make up a box plot, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And then in the second video, we're going to focus on using those 5 data components to actually create a box plot. So please make sure as we go through, as you watch the video, that you're taking good notes. Okay, for some data distributions, you will need more information about the center of the data than just the measures of central tendency. So we've already watched the video on measures of central tendency. This is the mean, the median, and the mode. And there are 3 different ways to describe the center of the data. But sometimes we just need more information. We want to focus on the center. We don't really care about the minimum or the maximum values. We just want to get more information about the center. So a box plot is a way of displaying the data distribution based on a 5-number summary. Okay, so these are the parts of a box plot. Okay, the first part is your minimum, also called the lower extreme. This is the smallest data point in a set of data. So for this box plot, the smallest part of the box plot is here at 5. That's called your minimum or your lower extreme. Okay, then you have the maximum or the upper extreme. This is the largest data point in your set of data. So for this graph, you can see that the largest data point is at 15. And that is what is called the maximum or the upper extreme. So that's pretty easy, right? Pretty easy to tell. The minimum is the smallest, the maximum is the largest. Then we have quartiles. Okay, quartiles are values that divide the data set into 4 equal parts. So if you look, you can see that the first part over here on the left is going to be that left whisker. Then you have this second part is going to be this purple area. Then you have the orange area, then the blue area. Well, the orange is actually a line. It's not really an area. It's just a line. And then you have the right whisker. Okay, those are the 4 parts of your box plot. They're called quartiles. So there's 3 values that divide this into our 4 quartiles. And those are the values that we're going to work on finding. The first is called the first quartile, or Q1, written with a capital Q and then that little subset 1. Okay, this is the median, which means middle, of the lower half of the data set. So if you take your data set and you look at the lower half, you find the middle number of that lower half. That's your first quartile. That's what makes up the left side of your box. So here our median is 11, so that's the left side of our box. That's your first quartile, your Q1. It's the median or the middle of the lower half of the data set. Okay, then you have the second quartile, Q2, and this is the median of all of the data set. It's the median we're used to finding. We put all of the data in order from least to greatest and we find the exact middle number. That's the median. That's your second quartile, Q2. So for this graph, it's at 13. That's the median of all of the data set. And then lastly, you have the third quartile, Q3. This is the median of the upper half of the data. So the box part of your box plot has to do with medians. The median of the lower half of the data, the median of all of the data, the median of the upper half of the data. Okay, that's what makes up the box in your box plot. That's what we're going to focus on today. Is we're going to focus on finding those quartiles because it's so important to making your box plot and to understanding your box plots. Okay, the first thing you want to do is you want to order your numbers, your data set from least to greatest. I, of course, cheated and have it done already for us. Pause the video if you need to so that you can write this down and then come back and we'll continue. Okay, so looking at this, you can easily tell the minimum and the maximum. The minimum is the smallest number, 37. The maximum is the largest number, 97. We're not going to really put those down right now because we're going to focus more on finding the 3 quartiles. Okay, so once you have your data ordered from least and greatest, you want to like split the data up into into two halves. You want a lower half and an upper half. And the easiest way is to count. How many pieces of data do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to divide my 9 by 2, because when you cut something in half, that's the same as dividing by 2. And what I get is that 2 goes into 9 4 whole times. Okay, we're only dealing with a whole piece of data set. We don't want half of the piece of data set. So we're not dealing with decimals. So 2 goes into 9 4 whole times. That means we want 4 pieces of data in our lower half. So I'm starting at the lowest number, 37. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of data. Whoops, that's a little bit too long. Try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of data, put a box around it. Then you want 4 pieces of data in the upper half. So I'm going to start with the largest number, 97, and I'm going to go backwards. 1 piece of data, 2, 3, 4 pieces of data, put a box around it. That's my lower half of the data and my upper half of the data. And you'll notice that there's a number in between the two halves. This number right here is the actual median of the whole data set. It's the actual middle number of all of the data set. This is your Q2, second quartile. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go ahead and fill in my Q2 is 87. And now I'm ready to go and find my first and my third quartiles. And again, quartiles, these are all the medians, right? So looking at my lower half of the data, I need to find the quartile in this lower half. Well, whenever there's an even number of data set, that means there's not going to be a middle number. Whereas here, there's an odd number of data set and there was a middle number. That's not going to work because we have 4 pieces of data here. So we want to find the 2 middle numbers, 41 and 65. Those are the 2 middle numbers. We have to find what's exactly in the middle of 41 and 65. And the easiest thing to do is to find the mean. Do you remember how to find the mean? We add and then divide. We're only adding 2 numbers, so I add 41 plus 65 and I get 106. And then I divide by 2 because we added 2 numbers. And 106 divided by 2 gives us 53. That is your quartile 1, your first quartile, 53. Then we're going to do the same thing for the upper half of the data. Find the 2 middle numbers. Well, they're both 91, and the only number that can go directly in between 91 and 91 is another 91. So this is your quartile 3. If you're like, wait a minute, Miss Lee, that doesn't make sense. How can it be 91? Well, find the mean. Okay, add the 2 numbers, add the 2 middle numbers, 91 plus 91, you get 182. Since we added 2 numbers, we're going to divide by 2, and it gives you 91, the same thing. So that's how you find your quartiles. You're finding the mean, or not the mean, you're finding the median of the middle of the lower, the upper, and the whole data sets. So let's try another one. Okay, so again, first thing you have to do is order from least to greatest. So go ahead and pause the video, order your numbers, and then come back. Okay, so now that we have them in order, we can easily tell the minimum and the maximum is 24 and 99, but we're going to focus on the quartiles. So count, how many pieces of data do you have? We have 10. And when I divide 10 by 2, that gives me 5. This 10 is an even number, so I'm not going to have an exact middle number. I'm going to have to find the middle number. So the first thing I want to do is take my 5 pieces of data for my lower half and put a box around it. So 1 piece, 2, 3, 4, 5, put a box around it. Do the same thing for the upper half. 1 piece of data, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put a box around it. And you can see that there is no middle number. So we're going to have to find the middle number between the 72 and the 78. Well, add them up. Find the mean. 72 plus 78 is 150. Divide that by 2 and you get 75. That is going to be your second quartile, the median of all of the data set. And now we want to find quartile 1 and 3. So it's the median of the lower half of the data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 pieces of data. That's a good thing. It's an odd number. That means there will be a middle number, which is this number right here, this 42. That's going to be your quartile 1, the median of the lower half of the data. Do the same thing for the upper half. Again, there's 5 pieces of data, so you look for the middle number. It's 89, and that's your quartile 3, the median of the upper half of the data. And now that you have your 3 quartiles and you know your minimum and your maximum, you can go on to the next video, which is where we will actually create the box plot. Good job, Bobcats.